there's always going to be people who try to kick your legs out from underneath you, or, play the friend to your face, but are doing everything they can behind you to kind of plan your downfall. And that was really a hard lesson to go through, but it also gave me the strength to say, I can rise above all of this. I don't have to fall into the drama and the nonsense and everything else. And I can take all of the amazing things that I'm learning and drop all the other stuff and come into a new season of my life. And that was really, for me, was like this awakening of this true person. I am enough. I don't need anybody's validation, approval, permission. I know without a doubt that like I am everything I need to be in this moment. And when I find that I'm lacking in something, I know without a doubt I can go find it and learn it and grow.
All right, Ms. Laurie, welcome to Emotionally Uncomfortable. Are you excited and ready to get emotionally uncomfortable with me?
So excited to do this with you.
And I was like, before we hit record, I don't want to cough up a lung, so you get the microphone and to talk all you want. It is so difficult. I'm like a backlog of all this audio that I need to record, like ads and podcasts. And my team is like, you got to get this stuff done. I'm like, this is such a like example of life that we can have the perfect plan and then, get sick, life's things happen, or things just shift internally inside of us. And we're like, not today, not today. And you just need to like continue moving forward, moving that needle. So I met you when I joined an event with Jesse Itzler. And actually, no, multiple events, because I've seen you at multiple events. And I was just like, here's this like secret little badass sitting in the corner and just having conversations with you. And like, she is my people. She is somebody that, I don't know, there's just something there. And I'm like, I wanted to connect with you, have this conversation, pull back the curtains a little bit and hear your story. I think too often we see what people are experiencing on the outside. And I always like to pull back the curtains and reveal the inside. So I just really appreciate you being here.
Well, I am so grateful to be here. And I have, loved getting to know you over the years and very fortunate that we did meet at those many events. And I feel the same way about you. There's just kind of a kindred spirit here. I have to laugh, actually. My high school yearbook quote was, "Life is what happens when you're busy making plans." And if that doesn't sum up what you're going through right now, I get it. But it kind of sums up what my life has been like, right? We all want to plan for things, but they don't always work out the way that they should. But they lead you to where you're supposed to be if you're open to it, for sure.
Yeah. And a lot of women that are listening to this I don't even like it when people identify with like, what do you do? It's the worst question to ask. And I see, especially in the online space, everyone will categorize you by your revenue. So they're like, or are you corporate? Are you a leader? Are you in this 6-figure, 7-figure, 8-figure exit? What category are you in? And it drives me nuts because I've been in a lot of those rooms that will label you through category, and those aren't my people. And so, sure, there may be like things on your resume that align, like corporate, entrepreneur, all the things. But when we strip all this away, what I find is there's this woman who could identify as ambitious. And I don't know if it's DNA or personality or a beautiful mix of like trauma responses or whatever it is. But, I always talk about feeling alive and energized. And I can't always get advice from, people's lives that I don't want. And for many, many years, I was judging myself because I'm like, to be a good woman, a good wife, a good mother, air quotes, I need to like abandon parts of myself to be good. And some of those are like primal roles, like our relationships. So you've been in corporate, you've been self-employed, all the things, but I'm just going to give you the microphone to kind of talk about that when you started to feel the pull and the transition and how you like fed into that. I'm going to call it calling, because that's the woman listening. She's like, I feel it bubbling. I don't know what to do. And she's going to resonate with your story and like the external experience of how things start to shift and change. So where did it all begin?
So growing up, I always wanted to be a mom. I was like, I want children. I want to be a mom. I want to have a family. And I was, a really good student. And my mother always used to say, you could be anything you want. Go be a brain surgeon. I'm like, I don't want that. I want to be a mom. But I also knew that I had a calling to help people and to be of service. My basic human needs are love and connection and contribution. Like I need that. So those are two really, important things to me. So I did the thing. I went to college, I got married, I got a job and started my career and, running businesses and doing operations. I love any type of problem that I can figure out and fix and solve and whatever. So I did the thing. I got the job. I got married. I had my 2 kids. I wanted everything by 30. By 30, I had it all, right? So I was a mom and I loved my daughters and my husband was great. And I had this beautiful house and a really good job. And I was like, this is everything I've ever wished for, right? Like when we're
you're checking all the physical milestones.
So I turned 35 and I go, oh gosh, what the heck? Same house, same job, same husband, same 2 kids, no growth. Nothing has changed. I've never been stagnant. And it was this feeling of like, wait a minute, when did good enough become good enough? Like, that's not how I want to live. I don't want to live in this life of just like, I'm happy enough. Like, no, I wanted more, but I didn't know what more was. So I started this journey of kind of looking around to see what more would feel like. And, I loved my husband. I loved my daughters. We weren't having more kids. It wasn't that. I didn't want to move. It was just, but I felt like something was missing. There was an integral part of me. It's funny because in college, my nickname was Lil G. And
Little G
because my maiden name was Guerrero. So I was Little G.
And I thought you were like a rapper or something.
Yeah, exactly. So what I realized, I had lost my like little G-ness, like this tough exterior. Like I had started to become a version of myself that everybody else wanted. I was the good wife. I was the good mother. I was the PTO president. I did all of the things that I was supposed to be doing by society and everybody else's standards, but I didn't feel fulfilled and I wasn't happy, even though I had everything I thought I ever wanted. So I started a little bit of a journey into some self-discovery. I'm not a big self-help person like that. However, I do believe that, we grow up with teachers and coaches in our lives, but when we get to adulthood, we don't have that. So I looked around and I started to work with a business coach actually for a while who kind of redefined my role at the corporation I was at, which really helped. And my boss at the time was amazing. So he had a big picture vision of like the universe and like how you find your answers when you don't ask for them, when you let them come to you. And I learned a lot from him about just being still and sitting in stillness and letting these things flow. And I started to realize that everything I wanted, that the thoughts and the things that I needed to hear, I would get in the shower, right? So like be in the shower and all of a sudden I would just clear my mind because I was too busy worrying about washing my hair. And all of these things would come to me. I'm like, oh yeah, I would like to do that. I would like to do this. So that kind of started my journey of awareness of like good enough was not good enough. And I wanted more. And I needed to figure out what that was without blowing my life up for sure.
Okay. So this, I'm like, yep. This is like a DNA. Like this is like a personality trait. And I had a very similar experience, like visceral experience. And I'm like, why doesn't other people feel like this? Why don't other people not feel like this? And then there's like this push pull, right? But there is a moment. And so I want to like reflect back to everyone listening. You are checking these like everyone calls it like midlife crisis. But you think about it up until like midlife-ish, you're like, check. Like you have a goal or like an external thing to like a developmental phase to hit. And then it stops and you're like, okay, what's the next thing? And so you kind of have to learn that skill of going within, right?
Yes.
And I can tell when people are like logical and then they're like transitioning over to like the inside out. And you got to like, quote unquote, balance the two. But it's fascinating to watch people like, well, what's the ROI? What's the value? What's this? And I'm like, so you're slowly dying. Your relationships are deteriorating. You're like becoming a little resentful. Is that not valuable for you? Like, but you want to know how you can add another million to your bottom line? Like, what are we valuing here? So it's the cracks in that, the foundations of the values. So loving this and reflecting it back. So then what happened?
So I decided that the next step for me was to start taking control of my health. So I started to work with a wellness coach and got myself really, really healthy, started to lose a lot of weight, started to work out more. And just like longevity was something that started to be mindful of at 35. I was like, wait a minute. So between 35 and 40, I really pushed for this kind of change in my health and wellness. And I started to notice some people around me acting differently. And I was like, what is going on? Like, why are you not supportive? And and then the drama would start to unfold. And it was like, oh, look at her. She's got to wear that. And it was like, well, it's jeans and a shirt. But if it makes you uncomfortable, maybe that's something you need to look at, right? So it started to get very, very weird. And so as I started down that path and the wellness portion of it came to me and I was doing well in business and things were going well, it just so happened I coincided when I ended up meeting Jesse Itzler, who you and I have met at some of his events, as you mentioned.
And just to give, can you tell people who Jesse Itzler is if they're not aware?
So Jesse is an entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur. He has 2 books out. One of them is Living with the Seal, where he actually spent time living with David Goggins. It's a great, fun read. He also has
before he was like David Goggins.
Before he was David Goggins. Yeah, way before he was David Goggins. Jesse lived with him. He wrote a book. He is an amazing speaker. He used to be a rapper. So I think his biggest claim to fame is probably that he's married to Sarah Blakely, who is the inventor of Spanx, the women's shapewear, as well as now Sneaks, which are just awesome high heel sneakers that she's made. So I had hired Jesse by just dumb luck, honestly, to speak at my corporation's kickoff meeting years ago, almost 10 years ago. And he came and spoke and we just started to talk and we hit it off. And he had some coaching, like a minor coaching program he was just starting. And I took it. It was really self-development. And it was about basically building your life resume and living your life differently and in a way that I had never thought of before. And that took me in a completely different direction than where I was going. And I needed it. I needed it bad, for sure.
It's so interesting. I call them breadcrumbs. Like you hired him, but there was something inside of you that sought that out, right? And so these little breadcrumbs, and it's like one person leads you to something else, that leads you to something else. So I just wanted to talk about that because people just sometimes will think of like the bigger picture, like I need this now. And it's like the little glimmers are there all the time. The signs are there. We're just not paying attention and our capacity is way too restricted to like notice.
Yeah. And I think that's why a lot of people stay stuck because they stay safe and they don't look for all the things around us. I'm always looking for signs and ideas and I'm like, oh, and then when it hits, I'm like, okay, that's what was meant to happen, or that's what I was waiting for, or, all right, I see it. I hear you. I'll be patient. Right. So meeting Jesse again, that was amazing. I started to do some work with him and I realized a lot of the things that he talked about, I was already doing in my life, but I didn't realize the significance of them. So, my family's super important to me. My daughters, I wanted to be able to work and be professional and have a career while also be an amazing mom. And I don't feel like you have to decide one or the other. You can absolutely 1,000% do both, but you have to be really intentional about it. And I worked, as an executive VP of operations for a financial planning firm and ran the ops of that company. And I only worked 4 days a week because one day a week I took my daughters to the beach and it was a non-negotiable. Like time with them was non-negotiable and having that day allowed me.
I would also like to say high performers can get shit done. And you could have worked less if you were more strategic and focused and like trim the fat even more, especially the version of you today. And it is just wow. People, I'm like, it's not about more time. So I just love
Yeah, I
that.
think that's a big problem in corporations, and that's a whole nother conversation. But this 9 to 5 work week is so ridiculous. Like people they're not productive in that time. And I knew who I was, and I was not coming in and standing around wasting time talking. Being with my daughters was the most important thing in the world to me. So I was going to come in, get the work done I needed to, work really hard, do the things that needed to get done so I could have that time with them and not be on my phone or be checking things. No, I was present. When I was with my children, when I was with my husband, I was present. And when I was at work, I was present. There's no work-life balance. You're either at work or you're home. And for me, I wanted that separate. I didn't want it to meld into each other. So I worked really hard for that. And so I was doing a lot of these things with Jesse, but I realized I could be doing them so much more. And I could really take the things that I was learning from him and just level up my life into a whole, different way. I don't like to say, there's a new version. There's nothing wrong with the old version of me, but like this upgraded, more aware, higher level consciousness that I was getting from being so intentional about all the different areas in my life really changed things for me, good and bad. So I was having all of this wonderful experience and this growth, and the people around me were like, what are you doing? What's going on? Who are you? And I'm like, I'm Laurie. Like, what are you talking about? And they're like, well, no, but you're not. Like, you're not the same. And I'm like, well, good. Like, I take that as a huge compliment. I don't want to ever be the same.
Yeah, you're like, I actually feel more like myself than ever before. Your little G is coming back.
My little genius was like back. It was so incredible. And I was loving it. And the people around me were, including my husband at the time, because I think he was a little bit nervous of the growth and like thinking that I was just going to grow past him. He is one of those people who doesn't have the pull. He is completely okay with exactly what he does and who he is, and he's fine with it. And he's like, I was living in contentness. He's happy. But I don't want to be content. I want to be happy. And I've said to him, so him and I had the conversation, like, look, if I'm feeling here and you're feeling here, that's fine. I don't need you to come to here as long as you don't pull me to here. I'll support you being here. You support me being here, and we're fine. Like, this is wonderful. It's totally fine. We acknowledge it. We love each other and we support each other, and that's okay. But there were a lot of people in my life who couldn't do it. And I started to shed some friendships that I thought would be with me for a very long time. It was hard. The transition period was hard, but I started to, because of Jesse, walk into these rooms with other people where I'd be like, wow, like these are some amazing, incredible humans. And I want this. I was nervous and I had that imposter syndrome. I hate that.
I know. We could spend a whole hour just talking about the bullshit marketing term of imposter syndrome.
Right.
But I want to before we go talk about those rooms, I want to go back to the partner thing for a second, because this is such a challenge. So you're still with your husband?
Yeah. 25 years. We just celebrated our 25-year anniversary.
Yay. Okay. So Brian and I have been together for 18-ish years, and there's been ups and downs, and there's that moment of like the pressure cooker of you're learning a lot about yourself too, like how controlling you are and how you want to like bring them with you because you like secretly don't want to lose them, but you also want them to be happy. And then you're like, but why aren't you like me? Why don't you have the pull? It is fascinating when you just like relinquish control and you're like, I'm going to be me. You're going to be you. Let's see where this goes. And I'm going to like manage my own fears around abandonment and losing you. Every fucking time I would have an up level, I'm like when I started eating better, I would have so much guilt making my own meal. Not because I felt guilty or bad, because I went down this whole fucking rabbit hole that like he's going to leave me. He's like, Heather, I've seen you like almost dead, bald, like broke, single mom as a teenager. Like, what the fuck else do I need to see? And I'm like, I don't know. But it is wild how your brain will tell you these stories. And Laurie, I just want to ask you this question. It's not personal. It's about what I've noticed with women. So I'm just curious your thoughts. So when they're about to like up level or invest, like they're ready to make a commitment to like whatever personal development journey they have to go on. Oh, he won't let me. Oh, he da. Oh, this. Oh, this. And I've heard it all. I've heard it fucking all. Okay. And I'm like, great, let's handle that objection. I'll talk to him. Let's da. Oh, did you have the conversation? Oh, well, he's out of town. He's this, he's this. Anyways, sometimes I find the manipulation of the stories that we defend to keep our identity and not take radical responsibility for how we want to feel. Of course, we're triggering their shit, but I'm just curious your perspective on that. Because half the time I'm like, is he really the issue or are they really the issue? Or you just refuse to take a stand for how you want to feel in this life?
Well, here's the other thing. My husband's my partner. He's not my father. I don't need his permission.
Damn, say that again.
My husband is my partner. He is not my father, and I sure as fuck don't need his permission.
Amen.
Now, that doesn't mean we don't have conversations. That doesn't mean that we don't, talk to each other and we're not aware of each other's feelings. But if I want to do something, and again, it's taken me a long time to get here and a lot of development, but I'm going to go do what I want to do because at the end of the day, the only person I'm hurting by not doing it is me. And if I'm hurting myself, then in reality, I'm not the best version of myself. So everybody's going to suffer because of that. And I'm going to resent my husband. I'm not going to be a good wife. I'm going to be pissed at my kids. I'm not going to be good. Like all of it'll just trickle down and affect everywhere. But again, I don't, and I'm not one of those like, oh, better to ask for forgiveness than permission. No, I want to have an open conversation and be respectful. But this is something that's important to me and I need you to respect me enough to do it. And I'm not asking your permission. I'm asking for your support.
Yeah. And more of a how can we attitude rather than
yes.
just...
And like, look, I'm not going to go spend, $500,000 without I'm not going to do anything crazy that's going to be harmful to us. That's we have certain kind of values and rules in place within our relationship and our family that we just don't do.
But if you're going to invest in something and he's going to give you a lot of pushback, you don't want to deal with that headache, you might do it.
I might do it
get
anyway.
The ROI.
Right.
And then say, guess what I did?
Yes, I might. It's possible. I mean, I did accept the job with Jesse and quit my corporate job and didn't tell him until we never even discussed it. I just came home and was like, by the way, I gave a month's notice and I'm going to work for Jesse and I'm going to run his, and he was like, what? He's like, are you out of your mind? We have 2 girls in high school getting ready to go to college. And you've been with this company and I'm like, it is a great job. It's a great job. I love the people. I love everything. And I made really good money, but I have to do this. And if I don't do this, I'll be miserable. And he looked at me. I was like, you can be as mad at me as you want, but I don't feel bad. Because number one is I don't do guilt. Guilt, in my mind, guilt is a wasted emotion. And that's all it is. It's an emotion. It's a feeling. It's nonsense. It's a story. I don't feel guilty. I don't feel guilty for doing something that I wanted to do. I don't have to feel bad about it. I'm sorry you're upset with me and I'm sorry that I made you mad, but this was important to me and I'm doing it. But it goes both ways. He has the same leeway with me. If something's important and he wants to do it, I don't tell him no. I'm like, okay, if this is really important, you go do it. Go do it. I support you 100%. Whether I like it or not is a whole different conversation, but it doesn't matter. That's for me to deal with. That's my issue, not his, right? So yeah, so I think I think women need to understand we don't need anybody's permission but our own. Stop asking for permission. Give it to yourself. Give yourself permission to step into the version of yourself that is most fulfilled, most authentic. Take control of it and be happy.
Yes, 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 yes. There's so many things that I want to say to this. Yes. And if you're like, well, I do guilt, I feel guilty a lot. Great. I would say I actually feel it a lot. Mm-hmm. And I don't allow it to run my life. It's not where I make choice from. I don't make, oh, I'm feeling guilty. That's interesting that that's the thing that pops up for me. So we all have our own inner experiences. But most of the time when someone is like, the pull or the abandonment of my soul feels worse than just being mildly terrified of this transition.
Right.
And knowing when to give that and when not to give it. And you're the risk taker. Your partner is not as risky or risk tolerant. That's okay. It's like read the room and communicate accordingly. Okay, so now you're in those rooms. You're working with Jessie.
I'm in the rooms. I'm working with Jessie. I'm around these incredible people. And sometimes I'd be like, oh my God, I don't belong here. I have a wonderful friend, Jen, who always says, like, walk into every room like you belong there because you do. And she lives that way. And she does not care where she is. She does it in restaurants. She walks right up, no reservation. She gets a table. Like, she just always positions herself like, I'm here. I belong here. And see me. Right. So I've always tried to kind of do that, but you walk into these rooms and you're like, wow, these people are, originally it was so much better than me. But what's better? By whose definition? By, like why, like you said, but because I define them by how many zeros are in their business or what category we put them in. No, but they had success in different areas of their lives that I just found incredible. And I don't like being around, like, I know everybody's like, oh, spend time with like-minded people. I don't want to be around people who think like me. I want to be around like motivated people who feel the pull, want more, want to be of service, want to help people, care about each other, and will push you to be better. I don't want the nicey nice. I want the push. I want people who are going to challenge me. And I was in those rooms, but man, I was scared. And I found, again, another season of life where all these people that I had in my normal life were like, what are you doing? You don't belong there. Wow. Okay. And then I got but that's not who you are. And I know I've mentioned to you this before. And I was like, okay, that's not who I am yet. Because I'm growing and I don't know who I'm going to become. And maybe it's not that version, but I know that who I am right now isn't who I'm going to be in 6 months because I continue to evolve and grow. And as I did that, I really, really, really lost some incredible people in my life. But I also realized, some people are there for a season, a reason, a lesson, and some people are there for all of it. And I have just a handful of people around me that have stayed through all of it that were willing to meet me where I was and support me for where I was going without judgment. And that was incredible. And then again, as always with growth, there's good and there's bad, because as I was in these rooms, somebody said to me, the more success you have, the bigger the target becomes. And I didn't understand it at the time. But as I continued to grow and grow Jessie's coaching business and things were going really well, the target on my back became huge, huge. And people started gunning for me. And I didn't even realize, because I trusted and I allowed myself to put all this amazing energy out and felt like I was getting it back in the same. And I realize now, a year later, that that things weren't quite as they seemed. And that's with any type of growth. There's always going to be people who try to, kick your legs out from underneath you, or, play the friend to your face, but are doing everything they can behind you to kind of plan your downfall. And that was really a hard lesson to go through, because I'm in these rooms with these incredible people and everybody's wonderful. And then realizing some of them aren't so wonderful was really, really hard. But it also gave me the strength to say, I can rise above all of this. I don't have to fall into the drama and the nonsense and everything else. And I can take all of the amazing things that I'm learning and drop all the other stuff and come into a new season of my life. And that was really, for me, was like this awakening of this true person. You can see the, little thing behind me, but I am enough. I don't need anybody's validation, approval, permission. I know without a doubt that I am everything I need to be in this moment. And when I find that I'm lacking in something, I know without a doubt I can go find it and learn it and grow. And all of these seasons have gotten me to this place. And all of those people, good, bad, and indifferent, in those rooms have brought me to the version of myself that I am right now. And I love her. Little G is in full effect, but like
Oh,
Laurie is amazing. And I am in love with who I am and who I get to be for other people every single day.
you're making me emotional behind my masculine voice right now because you're like, I love her. And this year I've experienced a little bit of what you're talking about. And the whole time, like I would say I'm someone who deeply trusts myself now because of the life experiences that I've either intentionally or unintentionally put myself in. And you have to learn deep self trust as a coping strategy. And like, I got myself, right? And you just got to figure shit out. And you're like, I have enough evidence that I can figure it out. And this year in particular, actually the last few years now that I'm reflecting on it, there was a few times where I'm like, why am I thinking about this person a lot? And something feels wrong. Like there's just like a rub. And I'm like, oh, Heather, you're just a high performer. You're just too quick, too fast. Your standards are too high. Da, da, da. But you sit with it and you rub it. And then sometimes I'd like release that person. And whether I like had to just say something and be like, we're complete here, or cut myself off or whatever. And I always had more energy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, to me, that's energy management. That's when you did the right thing.
Yeah.
I talk a little bit about being an energy hoarder and how, we like you go through your closet or shit, it's end of year. People are going to be like, let go, let go, let go. Like I've grown out of that. Don't like that anymore. It's not my style, not my thing. But it's the invisible, right? Mental, physical, emotional, spiritual people that as you grow and evolve, like you let them go. And because we don't like grief, we don't like letting go. We're like, what's wrong? What's wrong? Oh my God, I'm losing it. And it's like, that is a natural part of life. And when you become an energy hoarder, of course, you're like all these little leaks all over the place. Now I can honestly say the whole like target on my back, or, not everyone wants the best for you. I think it's that balance of like, we're recording this during the holidays. It's not going to go out during that time, but you spend time with people and they're like, what's new? Like, I'm watching you online. Most people I will say, I don't know, it's pretty boring, like rinse and repeat. And then they have to like gain my trust to like tell me a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. But like, I'm not verbal diarrhea and everywhere. I'm like, trust is gained, trust is earned. And then I'm like, how many people do I have in my life that when I have a big win, I'm like, oh my God, I just text that person.
Right.
That's when you have your next level people. Those are your like cheerleader people, like they got you. And we have like our, all these different types of relationships, but you need the balance of like more as you're growing forward and then like decluttering from the same time. So you know what I'm saying?
Oh, without a doubt, without a doubt. And the people in my life are in my life now because the relationship is a two-way. They are super supportive of me. I am super supportive of them. And they are also the type of people who have no problem calling me out of my bullshit.
Oh, I love that. We didn't talk about that part. I have an allergy to people pleasers. I don't have many in my inner circle. I'm like, oh, you're going to lie to my face. I can't do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't ever, ever, ever try to protect me with a lie. Just hurt me with the truth because that's what I need to hear. And, those are the people I want to surround myself with. So again, my circle is small, but man, it is mighty. It is mighty. And it is an amazing, eclectic group of people. Like we are just from all different ages and backgrounds. And I couldn't plan it or ask for anything better than what I have because life has happened to us and now it happens for us. And it's put me in more rooms now. So coming through, everything with Jesse and moving on from that, I've now been, blessed to be in even more incredible rooms where I'm meeting these just souls, like these amazing souls on the planet that I get to interact with, and the energy exchange for me, if you do not add, amazing energy to my life, then you're detracting and I want no part of it. And I walk away. It's very nice. I'm not nasty, but it's like, I'm cordial and I'm good.
You actually just don't invest in it. And so it doesn't go anywhere. It's not even that you're like, I walk away. You're like, there's just nothing forcing me to come closer.
Right.
And so it's just a natural death.
It all just stays surface level of like, if I see you, it's like, hey, how are you? And if I don't, like, you're not, it's not mean, but I don't think of you. I think of the few people who, reciprocate the energy that I want to give. And that's all that matters to me now. And honestly, because of how I've lived over all these years, my daughters, I see them, they're in their early 20s and they're living exactly the same way. They don't have like huge friends groups and all this stuff. They have no drama in their lives because they only deal energetically with the people who reciprocate what they give out. And I'm like, that's amazing to know. I wish I knew it in my 20s. I wish I didn't spend so much time trying to get everybody to like me. I don't want to be liked. I want to be effective. I want to be impactful. If you like me, that's a bonus. That's wonderful. But I like myself. Like I said, I love myself and the people around me like me. Other people, like, if you don't like me,
you don't have to like me, but you'll respect me.
Well, yes, respect me. Absolutely. Exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah, in general. I mean, you and I could talk forever and ever and ever. Like just this conversation, like I want to make this a 3-hour podcast. So Laurie, when people are listening to this and they're like, I like this woman, I want more of her, where can they follow you? What do you have going on? Where can they hear more about you?
So the easiest place to find me, because I'm always on Instagram, is Instagram. And my Instagram name, no surprise, is little g. It's LILLG23. So it's Laurie Wintonick on Instagram. But I do run 2 companies. So I run a company called Beyara, BEYARA. And that company helps female entrepreneurs build and scale their businesses. So I use a lot of my ops talent in that, and I do a lot of business coaching for the women in our mastermind programs. I also have a life coaching, business coaching, and business consulting company of my own, Boringly Consistent. And, but I do not have a website for that because I don't advertise a lot. It's more word of mouth. But if you DM me through Instagram, I'm happy to have a conversation with you about anything you may need. But I just, when people ask me what you do for a living, I help people live their lives for a living. And that's what I do. Period, done, end of story. Whether it's with your working in your business, working with your life, health and wellness, relationships. I don't want to be an influencer. I want to be a person of influence in people's lives. I want to have an impact, and I want to help you and everyone that I can live their best authentic versions of their lives and be happy. Because if we're not happy, what's the point? We get one shot at this, right?
And it's so fucking precious. And, usually there's an age or something that like clicks that gets you to realize that. And then hopefully you have enough time to realign in this life while you're having this experience. And, it's like not living with regret. Besides the tattoo I got on my arm that I'm trying to get removed. I got one regret, but other than that, I'm good to go. Laurie, I love and appreciate you. And I'm so great. I felt really seen in this conversation in the sense of you just telling your story. I'm like, oh, I'm not crazy. I'm not alone. And I think there's also so much value in just speaking our truth, telling our stories and being like, you don't have to abandon this part of yourself to be good in the world. So thank you for being you. And I highly encourage everyone, just find you on Instagram. We'll have the links in the show notes, send you a private message. And that's where like the magic happens, where you're like, okay, this person doesn't need to be Oprah's best friend. Those are the people you're like, hey, I need you in my life, in my back pocket. I need more of this. How do I get in those rooms that you're talking about? So Laurie, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I love you too. And it's a pleasure to be here.